What's up, RPG fans? Welcome to episode 20 of the Switchrpg podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Philip, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Gio. How's it going, sir?
Hey, what's going on? How are you doing?
Doing great. And we are joined tonight by special guest, Stealth. How's it going, man?
Thanks for having me on. It's quite a big day for switching JRPGs.
Yeah, we're excited to talk about that. So let's just jump right in. We've got a bunch of news to cover. Let's go first up. We've got a blog post from developer Ghostlight, and they made a blog post. And they're talking about how they are now officially able to develop for the Switch or port games to the Switch. So, what did you guys think about sort of this news? I did a little bit of research looking at their past ports that are listed on Wikipedia. They've done a host of ports for Shin Megami Tensei games, the Legend of Heroes, Trails in the Sky for the PSP. So what do you guys think about them porting games for the Switch?
Stealth, I'll let you being as you're the guest, let you answer this first.
Sure. So this news actually kind of confused me a little bit at first because I'm not too familiar with Ghostlight, but what I did know is they did a lot of European localizations. So I wasn't sure if this was specifically a European localization thing, but there was really no indication either way. But if they're Japanese JRPGs that wouldn't have otherwise been localized in both regions, the US and in Europe, then that's really great. I'm just not sure to region like this news is for, only because I know they do a lot of European stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, it's more JRPGs for somebody.
Yeah, the more the merrier. Now, Phil was mentioning some of the stuff that they had done in the past. Now, could that mean some sort of a port, like a SMT port or a Trails port? I would certainly welcome that. Like you had mentioned, Stealth, just the fact that we're getting another JRPG, it's just incredible. It's an awesome feeling.
And that blog post does mention, they did say that they are currently porting a JRPG that they cannot announce what it is yet. So yeah, I would love either Persona 4 or 5. I'd welcome that for the Switch.
Oh yeah. I mean, are they big enough studio where they could maybe port over Persona 5? Maybe.
I think it's very likely maybe for them to pick up some Falcom games.
Okay.
Like Miss America's doing. They've actually been picking up JRPGs from Japan, games that didn't have a Switch port in Japan, and actually doing that for America.
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of see Ghostlight doing that as well, as taking maybe a JRPG that have a Switch SKU and bringing that over. At this point, I think Atlas would do any Shin Megami Tensei game themselves.
Okay, yeah, they're a big enough studio where they.
But like for Falcom, there's just a big need. Even with NIS doing Ease on Switch, there's just so much other stuff that like they can both like tag team it.
Sure.
Great,
Yeah.
Great. I think it's good news all around. Before we jump into technically more RPG stuff, there was a Nindies highlight released today. Stuff, did anything from the Nindies thing jump out to you?
And I tweeted about this. I was pretty shocked by Windjammers too. I know it's not a JRPG.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first of all, I wasn't expecting a sequel. Second of all, I wasn't expecting it to be Switch console exclusive, because when they brought it back, it was literally, it had like a pretty big spotlight at Sony's E3 conference.
I totally missed.
Conference.
I totally missed this, like the initial release. I don't know what happened, but I totally flew by my radar. Windjammers.
That was really interesting. And then There's kind of like a Minecraft-ish game called Terraria,
Yep.
and for some reason I thought that came to Switch already.
No, I mean the
And I
closest
guess
thing we
it
have
didn't.
is Dragon Quest
I
Wars.
looked at like end shot 100 times to see if I could see like a two or some kind of like because I seriously thought it came to Switch already.
I think it's just everywhere else. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
we,
those were the two games that really kind of grabbed me. Honestly, like I kind of like I had to leave for work like 5 minutes after it dropped, so like I kind of watched it very very quickly, and then when I hit Windjammers, I kind of stuck on that for a long time.
I was
Yeah.
actually kind of the opposite, where I didn't have any time at work to look at anything, and then as soon as I got home, I watched it. I was kind of coasting through most of it, and I will tell you, when the Windjammers, not even Windjammers 2, but when Windjammers was announced, I was like, oh wait, this is something that I want. And then I thought that the aesthetic of Windjammers 2 looked pretty nice. What was the game Bad North? I think dropped today. I don't know if that was expected, but it's available now. So that was cool. I saw people on Twitter posting that they had already downloaded it.
One game that really surprised me was Everspace. I never thought that would be coming to the Nintendo Switch. That game just seems so graphically intense to be on the Switch console. So that was the bigger surprise for me. But I mean, overall, I wasn't nothing else really blew me away. But it was just having Everspace is kind of nuts.
When you put this in the context that this is like the third like indie video from Nintendo this year,
Hmm.
crazy how much stuff there's still left to talk about.
Oh, there's tons. There's a ton of stuff. There's a lot of questions. That's for sure. A lot of things still left up in the air. Like we still just about Nintendo Online, just to change gears a little bit. Nintendo Online, we still don't know when that's officially going to happen. We have second half of September, which is still ambiguous. So we don't know anything about that. There's special offers. We don't know what special offers are. We have a decent list of the NES games, but we don't know, once that list is done, we don't know what else is coming out. So again, yeah, there's a ton of stuff still to come and open in the air. So it's awesome.
Yeah. So back to RPGs. Over last week, we had a demo for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate hit the eShop. The full game releases August 28th. Stealth, is this a game that's on your radar?
I've been a Monster Hunter fan since the PSP games, and and as soon as this was announced for Switch, I pre-ordered it. Haven't played the demo because I don't really like to play demos because I'd rather just play the full game when it comes out. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. The last Monster Hunter I really put a lot of time into was the one on Wii U.
Hmm.
I put a ton of time into that, and I expect I'll put a ton of time into this. There's just a lot of content in this game, so that's what I like.
Yeah, I downloaded the demo. I haven't jumped into it. I'm kind of with you. The thing with demos for me is, especially if they don't carry over my save, if they don't carry over content, then I don't really want to put time into something that I'm gonna have to replay later. I don't know. I guess I'm just having to be very economical with my gaming time, so that's kind of when I don't touch demos typically. But then Monster Hunter, I actually don't really have a long history with it. I jumped in with Monster Hunter World on PS4, but couldn't kind of it had to be stationary, and you couldn't really drop in and out of that game very easily. And so I said, when I put Monster Hunter World down for the last time, if something like this came to Switch, I would get it immediately. So I was very excited to see that this was coming. And I can't wait to play.
Yeah, I mean, with me, I don't have any history with Monster Hunter. I've never really played it, and it's just something that just doesn't catch me. It doesn't really interest me much. Just something about it, again, I did play a little bit of the demo just to see maybe, hey, maybe this will pique my interest. Maybe it will get me into the game. And just, I don't know. There's a lot of loading screens, loading time. The loading, something really stupid, but the loading time doesn't really match the aesthetic of what Monster Hunter the game looks like. It's just something like that stupid just bothers me. So this may be a pass for me, to be honest.
Stealth, are you worried at all about the online side of things, or do you think that Nintendo's going to have sort of that figured out with people being able to play online and stuff like that?
Well, first of all, it's important to remember that it's $20. So,
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's $20 for the entire year, and honestly, because of that, a lot of things can be forgiven. And honestly, Smash, I need it for Pokemon.
Hmm.
There's a lot of games where really it just doesn't matter because I know I'm gonna need online for those games.
Right.
Sure,
You
sure, yeah.
know, so it's really just like a means to an end. Yeah, I'll pay $20. I don't really necessarily care so much about the deals and all that, but yeah, I mean, look, if I need to pay $20 to play games online, I'm not gonna make a really big deal about it. It's just to me, it's kind of just there.
Hmm.
It's not really like a major sticking point to me.
Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. All right. Big news from this past week is coming from Blizzard, and that's that Diablo 3 is officially coming to Switch. This is something that has been rumored and teased for a long, long time, and it just finally happened. So, what are your guys' thoughts? You excited?
I am.
I
That's for
did it
sure.
too, and a lot of like I don't really play a lot of like PC series, and I'm using air quotes here, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
watch a lot of them on like YouTube. So like I follow Diablo. I've never played a Diablo. I don't really know. I've watched like the random like Let's Play.
Right.
But I'm just a Nintendo fanboy, I guess, because when I see like Ganondorf skins and Link skins, that kind of like cements that I kind of need to play this game, I think.
They gotcha. They
Like
gotcha.
I in an IGN had like multiple gameplay videos today, and it looks like it runs great, it looks great, and has a ton of content. So yeah, I think this is gonna be a very, very good game.
I'm excited for it. I'm a huge Path of Exile fan, and being able to play on the go totally changes the game for me. And having Diablo, being able to just take it, people can jump in and out of the game. It's perfect. And then they Nintendofied it. They added the Ganon skins. The Link skin kind of got leaked. I guess I'm not sure if that'll be some sort of a microtransaction, or maybe eventually they'll say here it is. Maybe they're still going to add a ton of stuff. And that's kind of what I feel, and I've said this in the past with Dark Souls. I feel like that's why maybe they keep delaying it. That's just my opinion, that they're Nintendofying it. They're going to add some stuff, and Zelda or Link seems perfect for that. But yeah, just having Diablo, having that sort of action loop based RPG, perfect. It's perfect.
Now, one of our listeners sent in a question, and he asked that with this news of Diablo 3 coming to Switch, do you think it could open the door to more Blizzard ports coming to Switch?
I mean, we've had Hearthstone, I believe, has been kind of out there in the open. I think they said they weren't going to do it, and then they're going to do it or something. So maybe Hearthstone. I mean, that's a cheapo it's a free to play really. With microtransactions. What else does Blizzard have that they could bring
Well,
over?
the big one and Stealth. I know that you tweeted about this a little bit, that they are no longer denying that Overwatch could come.
Okay.
But
Yeah, they said it's feasible, and that they had nothing to say today, which is kind of like wink, wink, hint, hint. We might have something to say at
it's
another point.
very Blizzardish.
Yeah, but like the director of the Diablo port said that like specifically that this port is going to help with other Blizzard ports.
Yeah, get a handle on
I
the whole
mean,
system.
I don't know if anything is going to happen, but there hasn't been a Blizzard game on a Nintendo system in like 15 years.
It's been a
It's
while.
big. It's big. It's big. They're a huge developer, and if they could start bringing some content to the platform, then that's a form of validation all on its of its own.
Hmm.
Other big stuff. Gio, you mentioned the Dark Souls remastered that has been delayed, but we did finally get a release date confirmed for that.
Again.
Yeah. And GameSpot has an article, and then it says that it's available October 19th, 2018. So you'll finally be able to. When was it actually released for the other stuff? For the other platforms?
Wasn't it May? I feel like it was a long time ago.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely sure.
And so we'll finally be able to play it on Switch. Do we have any confirmation about frames? Is it going to be 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second?
No, I think they confirmed it. At least in hand, maybe it's dock mode, but it's like 920 and 60 frames per second. So one of them is 60 frames per second.
That's fine.
And it could be both. I'm not sure, but I know one of them is.
So scrolling, actually skimming through the GameSpot article here, it says the Switch version renders the game at 1080p resolution and 30 frames per second when docked and played on TV. So not sure about handheld. Yeah. So interesting.
Now, Stel, what do you guess or surmise is going on with Dark Souls? Why we keep getting delays? I feel like this happens quite a bit here. What do you think is going on?
Well, I think they had the base game was complete, and it's been complete for a long time. People who have played it like at the convention say like, yeah, it's complete.
Mm-hmm.
And now we do have a release date, and I'm pretty sure they're going to stick to it. It's in October, and they aren't going to delay that. But apparently there were some online issues that they had to iron out, which is unfortunate because honestly, I think if it released the same day as all the other ones, it might have sold better.
Probably. Yeah, I would.
It'll still sell well, not as well as it maybe would have, but I think there's a lot of people who just want to play that game handheld. It's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Great. And now we've got other more news for RPG stuff. We got a remaster of Grandia and Grandia 2. We're getting some of this rundown from NintendoEverything.com. Grandia and Grandia 2 HD is what it's going to be called, and they are older games that honestly I missed. I've sort of documented quite extensively on this podcast that there are major gaps sort of in my RPG history that I'm now going back and filling back in. And so the Grandia series is something that I've just never actually dived into at all. But they are a little bit older games. I think the first one was 1997, second one 2000, I think. So we're getting those back. Grandia, what about this series for you, Stealth?
Actually, really like the series. Haven't played the games in a while. Probably just the most shocking news that I've had in a while, because first of all, it's kind of surprising. When we get these collections, they're not really exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
Like come to everything or come to two systems. To have it again be like another Switch console exclusive is really crazy, because I posted this, like, the only Grandia game that a Nintendo system's ever got was on the Game Boy Color in 2000, and it was never localized. So Nintendo has no history with the series at all, really. Exclusively.
They just know that the Switch is an RPG machine. It's like perfect.
Only that, but like it's gonna be playable at PAX. Like it's coming out soon.
It's that
it's coming out winter of this year.
Mm-hmm. So so what do you think?
It was.
Sorry, go ahead.
I thought Windjammer 2 was like the craziest announcement of the day, and then this just wiped it out.
Yeah, so okay, number one is Grandia, is that series, was it super popular back when it first was out?
No.
It was never. This has never been on my radar, so.
It's never on like the Final Fantasy, Pokemon, Dragon Quest level, but it was on the Suikoden level.
Okay,
it was kind of like a cult class. It sold well enough to get sequels. Beloved by fans, but it was never like a huge sales success.
Yeah, I don't have much history.
To keep going.
I'm sorry. I don't have much history with this series at all. I just remember when it came out, this was supposedly going to be like the Final Fantasy killer. That's really all I remember about it.
It was never quite that, but
no.
I I'd say, I mean, Grandia 1, 2, and 3. I'm a little surprised that they didn't include 3 in this.
Yeah.
That was on the PS2. They're all like really, really good games. Game was like it was a dungeon crawler side game on PS2. Not that great, but still okay. But like Grandia 2 is the one that like all thinks very fondly of.
Yeah, that's the one to play.
Yeah, so I think the first interesting point here is just that it's happening, because like I said, I just never felt like this series was on anyone's radar to come back, and then for it to come back on Switch.
To get JRPG announcements at PAX, I can't remember I can't remember that ever happening, where we got not a localization, like actually getting the game. Like these announcements are kind of reserved for like Famitsu or Tokyo Game Show, or just a random like blog post in Japan, not PAX. That was always shocking.
Right. Yeah. And it's coming to Switch in the winter, which is when I'm pretty sure another one of the remasters coming over, the Tales of
Vesperia.
Yeah, Vesperia. So interesting. And then finally, Gio, you've got a little piece in here about Amazon Prime. I'm not a beneficiary of Prime, but why don't you kind of explain what's going on with Prime?
Yeah, essentially what they're doing, and it's coming up really, really quick. I want to say it's in about a week or so. They're getting rid of the 20% off of pre-orders, and they're adding, instead of 20% off, they're giving you a $10 credit, which you have to use in 60 days. So even on that, there's a time limit. So they're following along with the Gamers Club, what Best Buy did. So they're no longer offering that discount, which kind of stinks. It was an incentive to purchase the game wherever that discount was. So I think right now, is GameStop even doing it anymore?
I think they're still honoring the members who had signed up before they cut it off, but yeah, as far as I know, they're not accepting. Like,
so we're not getting discounts anywhere anymore. So it's just been a really weird news day today. We had the Nindies highlight thing. We have Grandia, then we have Amazon, and Netflix is now showing commercials. It's just, I'm all flustered. I can't handle today right now.
Yeah,
and then we have Stealth on here.
Yeah, we usually don't get too much game news on Mondays. It's kind of rare, and to get like this much is.
Not
yeah, because we always record Monday night, so we usually don't have like something of that day to talk about, and now it's just like our dark just kind of got flooded all of a sudden, except for I think the original Nintendo Online announcement was like a Monday night right before we recorded, which was really weird. Yeah. All right, yeah, so that's all the news for this week, and Stealth will just keep you on for just a few more minutes to answer a couple of listener questions here. And the first is from our listener, Captain Vulgar. And he asks, what are y'all's top 3 games of 2018 so far, and how would you rate them? Stealth, based off of your Twitter feed, I kind of feel like where some of this is going.
Number one is, number one is Octopus Traveler.
Yeah.
I just finished. I haven't beaten like the every JRPG has like a secret dungeon and the final boss. I haven't done that yet, but I've beaten like a lot of like the hidden bosses, and I don't know, it like transported me back to like that SNES era. It was so good.
Yeah.
Games that I played this year. Well, I'm in the middle of Captain Toad, and I've been tweeting about that a lot. Not a JRPG, kind of like a puzzle game, and not particularly a hard one, just something that is really nice to play after a game like Octopath Traveler, where I died, minutes. What else have I played this year? I played so much I can't even.
We're in the same boat, yeah. Gio,
I played, I played DK Tropical Freeze. I played Bayonetta when it came to Switch. I'm looking through my stack of games to jog my memory of what I replayed. At ease, I replayed Zelda again. I've been replaying a lot of like classic games, but really, in terms of what my favorite game is right now, it's Octopath. When Smash Brothers comes out, all bets are off.
Sure.
That's going to be my favorite game of the year.
There's so much content in that game. It's unbelievable.
Kind of crazy how much there is, but yeah, like it's definitely Octopath right now.
Yeah.
So real quick, in general, what because you mentioned it really transported you. What for Octopath was like your top favorite things about that game? What really spoke to you specifically about Octopath Traveler?
Probably the battle system. The battle system is one of the best turn-based battle systems. It actually combines Final Fantasy X's ability to see characters' turns. It has a lot of the Bravely Default stuff where you can like your attacks to get more attacks later on. It has a lot of interesting stuff with that Shin Megami Tensei uses, where you have to find specific weaknesses.
Okay.
It's kind of a combination of, like, to me, all the best like JRPG battle systems.
Yeah. Something that I mentioned last week when we were talking about it is, I guess going in to specifically talking about the battle system, going in, I was concerned with them giving you essentially everything you needed in terms of here are the weaknesses, here are how you defeat these things. I was concerned it was going to be too easy, and boy, I was delightfully wrong, because it doesn't make it easy.
Now, the game is not easy at all, and even though like one of your characters by default is like normally like 5 to 10 levels over the others because they're permanently in your party.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not like the bosses in particular are really brutal.
But
they all have because they all have team attacks, so they all attack every party at once, and then a lot of times they can attack twice in a row. So if you're not careful, they can like wipe your entire party.
Yeah, rather quickly.
But then something that I really sort of respected about the boss fights is that I could just get my tail handed to me on the first try, but it clicks with me what the strategy was, and so then whenever I try it again, it's not quite as difficult, and I'm able to really have that moment of victory. So it's not just brutally hard to the point of it being unfair, but it is like, oh wait, I just need to understand what it is here. And so I really like that about it, because too often we get like either difficulty spikes or just like difficulty for difficulty's sake, and I feel like it was very fair with its difficulty, and it just sort of relied on you to figure it out.
Phil, what do you got for your top this year?
Octopath is up there for me. I would say, and I'm going to count this all as one game, especially because there is a skew with all in one. But Banner Saga for me, that game really clicked with me. Stealth, you talked about how Octopath Traveler, it was just kind of checking all the boxes that you needed. For me, Banner Saga was just a game where that world, those characters, the way that the story is told, the music, all of that was just checking all the boxes for me. I loved the choices system, and how the consequences of those choices are portrayed in that world. So Banner Saga's got to be up there for me.
Yeah. I mean, Octopath is I guess the pretty popular answer. I would say Octopath was a good for me this year. But I also like Battle Chasers. Battle Chasers, for what it was perfect. It wasn't a very long game, but you could certainly sink a lot of time in it. The animation was really cool. The music was awesome. Again, it's just, that was a kind of an underappreciated, underrated game, I think. And also,
Yeah,
I am drinking Snapple, and the Snapple fact, Stealth, I hope you're listening still. Theodore Roosevelt had a pet bear while he was in office. So just a little fact for everyone. You're welcome.
That's pretty funny. Yeah, I actually have wanted to play like the Banner Saga games, and it's interesting that like the first two came out in May, and like the third one came out in July. So like they didn't wait too long to get them all out in the system. What are they, strategy RPGs kind of? Like I've kind of seen pictures of it. Yeah. There's so many there's so many like download only games that I need to play on Switch. It's getting out of hand.
Yeah, and they
It's
do have the physical copy of the trilogy, so there's that. But yeah, it is that grid based tactical RPG. And they do some things with the combat that I kind of had not seen from other tactical RPGs, like with the way that your sort of the health reserves work, mixed with like the armor reserves, and certain attacks do damage to one thing, but you got to damage the other thing in order to bring that one down. So it's really cool. Great. All right. So last question from the listener. We've got one from Paul Nichols, and he asks, what do you think would be the first MMORPG on the Switch, and how do you think it might go?
Well, there's already an MMORPG. Was he saying if there was one? Because there is one. Is on Switch, and it's actually pretty successful.
Oh, say that. Say that one again. I'm sorry, you cut out for a second. What's the name of it?
Dragon Quest X.
Okay, but that's in Japan.
That's in Japan only.
Okay.
It is an MMORPG. Like Square's most successful game ever, actually. But if I have to say, I mean, if another one came, it would probably be Final Fantasy XIV, because they've actually been talking about getting it onto the system. I think if one would, it would probably be that.
Okay, and I mean, you think with infrastructure and everything, like it would do really well?
I mean, Dragon Quest X has already seen multiple expansions on the Switch, and you don't hear anything about it. So
there you go. There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Proof is in the pudding. All right, cool. And Gio, you got any one last thing you want to add with Stealth here?
With Stealth here, actually, one thing I want to say, he is a great follow on Twitter. I rarely find you saying anything negative. You say things that are negative, but you're never like inflammatory. You're never anything like that. You're such a positive person to follow on Twitter, and I so much appreciate that, because a lot of times, people, they gain this following, and it's all because of, like I said, they're inflammatory. They're trying to drum up the crowd, but you don't do that. You're positive. You're a Nintendo fan. I absolutely love it. Thank you.
And I really do appreciate that. And to be fair, I wasn't always like that. You when you're on Twitter a long time, you kind of learn what you can do and necessarily what doesn't work so well. But yeah, I mean, the longer I've been on Twitter, just, really the more I just enjoy talking with other people about Nintendo, about RPGs. Too, that's even better.
Yeah. All right, Stealth. Well, thank you so much for coming on, man. We really, really appreciate it, and just keep doing the great work. All right.
It was my pleasure to come on.
Thanks again.
Have a good night. All right. And once again, we do want to thank Stealth for coming on to the show, covering our new segment and our listener questions segment. But now, Gio, it's just you and me again, and let's cover what have we been playing this week? Because actually, we didn't even go over that last week because we had a guest on then. So,
and I didn't even dress fancy for today.
No, you didn't.
I totally didn't.
You did.
I mean, all I had was stripes, and you told me not to wear stripes. So
yeah.
That's the only thing I have in my wardrobe. So whatever.
Dang, man, dang. All right, Gio. The past 2 weeks, what have you been playing? What you been up to?
Well, I've been doing Let's Plays for the YouTube site. I've been doing Hand of Fate 2, as well as Salt and Sanctuary. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to stop Salt and Sanctuary because I will lose the rest of my remaining 4 hairs on the top of my head from playing that game. Okay, if anyone's even watched it, first of all, thank you for watching it. But I don't want to say I breezed through the first boss, but I played through the first boss, and I didn't die. I'm like, oh wow, I'm a pro. Okay, so I get through the first boss. And then I eventually, I work through it, and I get to a second boss. Or actually, even before that, I am dying all the time. Like, all the time. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I feel like I'm doing something wrong. You ever play a game like that where you're cruising along, and you just keep messing up. You keep dying. And you're like, what am I doing wrong? I have no idea what I'm doing. I feel like so lost. So I must have died from the same bosses, the same traps, the same I'm dying by little minions out there. Anyways, I'm sorry. I have to stop playing that game. Okay, maybe at some point I'll get back into it. But Scott Studios, I donated the money to you because I'm sorry, I can't play that game anymore. So I'm gonna continue with Hand of Fate. I've also I have Flipping Death. I kind of started playing that, and I think I'm gonna actually do a let's play on that for a side quest. Kind of something a little different instead of RPGs. So that's kind of the next game I'm playing, but I'm still waiting for Divinity Original Sin. That game has me so hyped. I'm so excited for that game.
It looks really good. I mean, I know it's been out for a while on Steam, but
yeah.
I didn't play it on there.
Man, it's like the perfect pen and paper experience on screen. And I know Pathfinder Kingdom, I think it's Kingdom Come, I think that's the name, which is direct derivative of Pathfinder, the pen and paper game, doesn't hold a candle to Divinity Original Sin. It looks so good, and I can't wait to play it. So that's kind of what's on my radar right now. So
great. I've had quite the couple of weeks playing games. I must say, I've been playing. So I finished Banner Saga 3, and still haven't quite recovered. And working through writing the review now for that. For those audio listeners, I just gave 2 thumbs up. So, yeah, fantastic, phenomenal. Aside from that, what have I been playing? Well, I downloaded both the demo for Monster Hunter and the demo for Valkyria Chronicles 4. To be completely frank, I've never played a Valkyria Chronicles game. But doing a little bit of reading into the series, it doesn't seem like I really kind of have to have played the previous games to play the 4th one because of sort of where it's set and everything. So jumped into that. That is one where your demo save will carry over. You can port it back. You can port it over. So that means that I'm free to play the demo because I don't like replaying content. It may be a bit before I get this game. I don't know if I'll get it actually on launch, but I had a lot of fun with it. After playing Banner Saga, I was kind of feeling the tactical strategy, Yeah. So yeah, there's that. Speaking of tactical and strategy, I started a game called Ark the Lad. Have you ever heard of this, Gio?
Say what?
Ark the Lad.
Is that on like the Commodore 60? What is that?
The original. I don't remember what it was originally released on, but Ark the Lad, I believe 1 and 2 were both released on a very old console, and then a collection was ported to the PS1 in 2000, I think.
What made you want to play that?
Looking through old PS1 games, and I read that that's sort of like kind of sought out, like it's becoming a rare collection, and I found a good deal on it, so I just jumped on it and I got it, and started playing some of the first game. Interesting art style. You can definitely tell that when it released, like when this collection released in 2000, if they touched up the visuals at all, it was very minimally, because it looks like a really old game. And I mean, when you start thinking about games that were coming out in 2000, that's when we're getting, Final Fantasy X, and we're getting close to that. So, right. When was Final Fantasy X? Now that I said that, it was 2000.
That sounds about right.
2001. I may have been wrong on that. I was thinking it was 2001 was when Final Fantasy X came out. But regardless, we're past that. I mean, we're past that Final Fantasy IX era, and Final Fantasy IX, looked really good, and it looks like an SNES era.
A what? I'm sorry.
SNES.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
And yes, I'm sorry. Final Fantasy was released July 19, 2001.
Oh yeah. All right.
On point.
I'm right once, so I'm going to be wrong for the next month. But anyway, so I've been playing that. Been continuing Tales of Fantasia. I took a pause on Tales of Fantasia to play Tales of Destiny, which was the second one, because that was actually officially released in the US. Got a copy of that. really loving Tales of Destiny. I'm enjoying Tales of Fantasia, but I'm really, really enjoying Tales of Destiny. So there's that. I have also,
Holy cow!
I've also fallen back into love with Final Fantasy 12.
12.
12. I remember enjoying this game a lot, and I've played it several times without beating it. I've gotten extremely far into that game multiple times, and I always remember really, really liking it. I like the battle system. I like how sort of open it feels. I like how automated it feels because you get to control that automation. I think there is an immense amount of strategy in that, so it doesn't really hurt my feelings that I'm not actually like selecting the skills on the battlefield because I'm doing all the preparation beforehand. I think that's really cool.
Does it? I haven't played that game in a long time. Does it almost feel like what Xenoblade does? Kinda.
That's an interesting comparison. You're still, I would say in Xenoblade, you're still being a little bit more active because you're going through, you're pressing the actual attack buttons. Now, to your point, pressing the attack buttons doesn't actually really make for engaging combat. It's very, very repetitive.
Right.
But you're right in that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is all about paying attention to what your party members are doing and what you're doing and making sure everything times out correctly. So in that sense, it's a very interesting comparison. I'm glad that you brought that up.
Like
That's something I've never thought about.
It's been a while since I played 12, and when I played it, I never really played that much of it. But from what I remember and just kind of thinking back, it reminded me of what Xenoblade did.
You know what? Honestly, the way that the world is set up reminds me a lot of Xenoblade Chronicles 2. Now that you're mentioning it, the sort of the wider open areas, it's not open world, but it does sort of alleviate that corridor feeling by giving you sort of wide spaces. You're
to explore, right?
Tracking back a lot, so it doesn't feel like you're going from point A to point Z. It's like point A to B to A to C to B to D to E to B to D, So
it's a lot of alphabets, yeah.
Yeah, and I was actually pretty impressed with myself for doing that. So I'm I would say neck deep in the Final Fantasy 12 playthrough
Good
again.
for you.
So
good for you.
Yeah, it's been a great 2 weeks of gaming.
Very cool.
And I'm excited to eventually get into Monster Hunter.
See, and I touched on this before. That loading screen bothers me so much. Like, I remember, what did I play it for? I think I have it for the Wii U, and Stealth mentioned this. When I first encountered the first loading screen, I'm like, all right, well, I just jumped into this area and I'm already into a loading screen. And the loading screen totally just didn't match the aesthetic of what the Monster Hunter world looks like. And then, I'm chasing the monster, and then I'm hitting another loading screen. I'm like, wow, this is like, it was really jarring to me to continuously hit a loading screen. And apparently that's what they all do. And again, I'm kind of new to the Monster Hunter thing, but it's just, that bothers me so much that I don't think that it's something I'm going to get into.
We'll see how I fare. I really enjoyed Monster Hunter World. So, and I think the game fits well portably, which kind of goes back to its roots anyway. So, great couple of weeks of gaming, man.
Wow, you were on fire.
I was on fire. And honestly, finishing Banner Saga 3, I took a long moment and was like, do I play the other two again now? I mean, I was seriously considering it.
I mean, you can play it totally different, right? Because your choices matter and they affect the story in the long run. So you could definitely have a totally different outcome, which is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a decision at the end of the first game that because of the way that I played the end of the first game, there's the second game essentially has two versions. and I've only ever played one version.
Okay.
So now I could go and play the other version, but the problem is I'm so attached to the version that I played. I don't know if I can ever bring myself to do it another way. I don't know that. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough.
You know?
And of course, the version you played is the right version. So
Yeah.
why would,
Oh
why would
yeah.
you
Yeah.
why would you want to change that?
Yeah. Exactly. Joe, you know what time it is?
We do this every time. Do you not have a clock in your place there?
Well, it's actually a lot earlier than it normally is. So,
It is a little early. It's 8:49. But thank you for asking.
but
Do you have
what
to?
time is it really?
Let me look. Let me look. It's side quest time.
Side quest time. Cue the
Sorry if that-
music.
Sorry if that was cheesy, but deal with it.
It's cheesy every single week. All right, Gio, this week on Side Quest. Hit me with it.
All right. So this week on side quest we have, if you could instantly become an expert in something, what would it be? Snap of a finger. What is it going to be? Whoa. Did you?
Yeah,
I'm
I
not
just became the expert.
Okay. Oh, so sorry. I thought it was Thanos, and I just totally just annihilated you.
If I were decent at Photoshop, if somebody is very decent at Photoshop, please take the moment where Gio snaps his fingers and then do the particleized thing of me. Please, somebody do that for the love of God.
I mean, I can take this, or you can take it. It's up to you.
All right, I'll go ahead.
Okay.
All right, so instant expert. I would become a linguist.
A linguist.
A
So,
linguist. Someone who could speak like 40 languages and read and understand like 40 languages.
like, how many languages does it take for you to be a linguist? Is it just more than one?
I mean, technically, I guess just like more than one. Yeah.
Sweet.
Because
I'm a linguist.
Because I mean, if it were just one, I feel like I may not portray this on the podcast, but I mean, I do have a degree in English and I teach English. So like, I'm pretty adept in my language. So I'm assuming in order to be a linguist, you'd have to be at least another one. But I don't know. But I would want to be a linguist that was like 15 to 20 languages. I mean,
15 to
something
20.
like impressive, you know?
That would definitely be impressive.
Something like superhuman. But here's the reason why. Because you may be over there, dear listener, on the other side of your headphones, and you're maybe thinking, what a lame-o. What a freaking lame-o for choosing a linguist. Well, let me tell you this. My hero growing up, my fictional hero growing up, was none other than Milo James Thatch of Disney's Atlantis, okay? I watched that movie over and over and over again because he was my actual hero. And I was convinced as a young lad, which is dating me here, meaning, I'm fairly young, but I was a young lad when that movie came out. And I was convinced that I was going to be the one to find the lost city of Atlantis. And I just thought it was so cool that he like was a linguist and therefore like could theoretically like learn this other lost language just because he knew how other languages work. I was like, this guy is a G. So there's mine and the backstory behind it. So beat that, Gio.
Beat that. I mean, that would be pretty cool. I mean, I would have chosen like, I don't know, like an Indiana Jones or Nicolas Cage type.
He was my Indiana Jones.
Just something like that. All right. Well, for me, and I want to say I've talked about this in previous episodes, but my favorite occupation, not occupation, what's the word I'm looking for? My favorite type of character in a game is are blacksmiths. I would absolutely love to become a blacksmith, forging things in fire. I have the beard. I feel like I'm halfway there, right? Yeah,
Literally, if you just took off your hat right now and put on an apron, I mean,
I'm
I
a
couldn't tell the
blacksmith.
difference. Yeah, couldn't tell the difference.
Well, no, I mean, I would be like a totally different person.
Yeah,
You-
yeah.
So
Sure.
you might be like, who is that over
Yeah,
there?
yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah, just like making swords, making armor, making things that are like they're so freaking cool to me. And I've always been interested in kind of making things. Even as a young lad, I would make I would make like carve things out of from wood, with a knife. I didn't own a forge when I was younger, but if I could, I would definitely have made some cool stuff.
So
So
what so what we've learned from this episode is that as young lads, the difference in our childhood is that Gio was making and carving things, and I was making up languages and writing them down in notebooks and pretending to learn the Phoenician alphabet.
okay, well, I mean that's
One of us got made fun of on the playground.
it was me for sure. It was me because I'm telling you right now, when you played games as a kid, and you're in a different generation than I am. When you played games as a kid, in my generation, it was looked at very differently. You were looked at, the nerd. And being a nerd was like that was the worst insult ever. Watch a terrible '80s movie now. They're calling them nerds, they're calling them squares, they're calling them dorks, all that stuff.
Four
But now
eyes.
all that stuff is like it's so cool now.
Now
But I
people
mean,
are literally wearing fake glasses.
yeah, to
And
look like me.
Gio had to sacrifice to get people to that place.
Unbelievable, and that really bothers me. It bothers me so much. Like,
We stumbled across another side quest.
oh my god, that bothers me. Like I've said it before, the word gamer just irritates me to high hell. But I mean, the fact that I had to suffer as a kid, playing my video games and then going outside playing hockey and then getting made fun of because I played video games and I didn't speak English and all this stuff. It was a tough life, man. It was tough.
There you go.
And I grew up in a pretty bad city. I'm from New England. I didn't grow up in Boston, but if you're familiar with the Massachusetts or New England, you have Boston, you have Brockton, and then you have New Bedford and Fall River. Fall River is actually where I grew up. And if you're familiar with Fall River, if you're familiar with Lizzie Borden, do you know who Lizzie Borden is? Anyway, she murdered her parents. And that's the city I grew up in. So short little history on my city. But it's a terrible city. I hate it, and I'm out of there now, which is perfect. But it made me who I am.
Look, this is just all I'm saying, though. This is all I'm saying. I'm still hung up on
I
this.
just rambled
I'm still
on
hung
for-
up on this. If we were on the playground and we were the last two to be chosen for, say, dodgeball, okay?
Okay.
It's you and me. And they're like, all right, which of these two nerds are we going to choose next? Show us what you got. You pull out this sword that you created in your garage. You hammered that sword out of a chunk of metal. And then I give them this flimsy binder full of dead language alphabet stuff that I kept through like my pre-tens era.
Wait, time out before someone gets picked here. Did you really have a binder filled with languages like that?
Yeah.
Oh boy. I don't know.
Traced them out of encyclopedia.
Oh my god.
And those were the ones that actually existed, not the ones that I created, which was a different binder.
Oh. You would definitely get picked up.
Not only that, but then I would get like I would be the one to get like shoved off the monkey bars or something,
Oh man. We were picked on as kids. It happens.
There we go.
But-
Well, that got vulnerable quick. But now I just play and write about video games, so now I'm cool.
And you're
Whatever.
better than those people that knocked you off the monkey bars. Just like I'm better than the losers that, made fun of me for playing games. Whatever.
Why do you think gaming has sort of become cool?
I don't know. It's just become pop culture. I don't know why. I think with the invention of the information superhighway, the internet, if you will.
That's what normal people call it.
Oh, my apologize. I think with the invention of that and kind of, YouTube and watching people play, it's just gained all sorts of popularity. And games are good, man. They tell people are latching on because they can tell a good story. They can occupy your time from, whatever is going on out there. Why people didn't see it before, I don't know. I have no idea. It was new. It was something new.
I still think it's in its infancy.
You still think it's in its infancy,
Mm-hmm.
really?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's going to grow a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can only grow, right? I mean, when it starts being like, now we're really going off on a tangent. When it starts being something like, say, for example, Hollywood, where they really don't, I feel like there's very few original pieces of content out there. And when we get to that point, then video games will certainly be in trouble. But I don't know that we're there quite yet. But hopefully we never get to that point.
There you go. That was.
I mean, I don't want to rip on PlayStation, but a lot of their content, their exclusives, they're awesome. Don't get me wrong. Visually stunning.
Yeah,
they're awesome.
Yeah.
But they all feel the same to me. They all visually and look like they play the same to me.
Really? Okay.
Really?
Okay. So, okay. Which is different from all of Xbox's shooters. So.
Well, Xbox doesn't really have exclusives, so you can't even...
you can't rip on all their exclusives. Don't play the same because there's just one exclusive.
There's just one. It's State of Decay.
Yeah,
and I don't even know what else. Path of Exile,
and then eventually Halo when that comes back.
If that ever, yeah.
Path of Exile. Oh God.
Which is essentially like a Diablo clone. So whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, we got really off the rails there.
That's what side quests are for. I don't even know if we finished that one. What was that? What was the original thing? It was be an expert. Yeah. Well, I think we finished it.
We killed it.
That was good.
Killed it.
All right. Well, I think we also just killed the entire episode here. That was great.
That's okay. We've done a lot worse.
We have done a lot worse. Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and special thanks to Stealth for coming on the first half of the episode and hanging out with us and answering some questions. It's always great to sort of get his insight on stuff. He's great. Like Gio said while he was still here, he's a great follow on Twitter. He's positive and just great person. Like, Twitter can be tough, right? Twitter can be, it can really get you down sometimes. And so to find those people specifically in the video game industry that you read their stuff and it doesn't drag you down further, that's few and far between. So highlight the ones when you can.
Yeah. I put him on the level of Pear at IGN. And for me, that's a really high level, with Nintendo Whites on Twitter. I really appreciate what Pear does, and I also appreciate what Stealth does. So that's just my opinion.
And we value your opinion, Gio.
No, you don't.
You can make look in this podcast, in this safe space, you can make all the swords you want, and all the horseshoes.
And no one's gonna judge me.
Whatever. Yeah, shields. If you're in Skyrim, iron daggers.
Okay.
All 8,000 of them.
Oh man, I'm gonna be level 1 million. You wait.
All right. Thank you everybody for listening. Remember, you can catch this podcast each and every Wednesday on your favorite podcasting app or straight from our website at switchrpg.com. And if you're listening on an app, please give us a rating and a review if you'd like. If it's 5 stars, we'll be sure to read it on the show. You can head over to patreon.com/switchrpg if you'd like to throw us a buck or two. That'd be very, very appreciated. And remember, if you do want to be a part of the show, you can send your questions through our new question form. And we really appreciate the questions that we got this week. 2 of the questions came straight through the form. And that is switchrpg.com/podcast. So That'd be greatly appreciated. You just fill in your question, put in your name, and hit submit, and it does all the work for you. So we appreciate that. And remember, finally, you can head over to switchrpg.com for all of your Nintendo Switch RPG needs. I could not have butchered that sentence anymore. Thank you. Remember, as we're leaving until next time, Disney's Atlantis was the greatest Disney movie ever.
I disagree. It was National Treasure.
Also a good one. Thank you and good night.
Bye.